Hi everyone! We're the Kovol team. We're here in Kovol and we're learning the Kovol language. And here is a little video we made for our conference. We can't do a real conference, we have to do a virtual conference for reasons. And so we had to film a short video, like a video for the year in review. So we hope you enjoy. Here are some bananas.
Now the dance.
Okay, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of our year. Last year, September through to November, our guys, together with some other skilled people, came in here to do milling and to put up our houses. Then by December, the houses were ready. Not finished yet, but ready to move in. So that's what we did in the beginning of January. Those first months were just very busy with meeting lots of people here, doing house projects and adjusting to life here. Then by April, we were finally ready to get started with CLA. And we had our kickoff, and then a little later the Stouses went on home assignment, and since then us and the Hansons have been working on CLA.
Milling took forever when you compare it with how fast our houses went up. Behind us throughout this whole time we had a wonderful support team from the missionaries here in Papua New Guinea. They helped us all along the way with the plans, with the building supplies. They provided vehicles for us. They took care of our families while we were away milling and building. There were also a couple other people involved. Rhett's dad was with us there for the whole time, and he was a major help through all the milling and building. We were blessed to have him here with us. And then there was also the German team of 4 guys that came for a few weeks. They had to split their time between milling and building. Milling was a constant frustration, even alongside the building, but building went really, really quickly.
So the time had finally come for our full team to move into Kovol. The Stanleys, they were up first, so they got in early in the morning. Unfortunately, the clouds came in and blocked us and the Hansons, so we were just sort of stuck in Madang hoping things would open up. Eventually, it did open up, and Mike was nice and willing to stay the night, so we ended up getting there just before darkness fell. The Kovol people, they had a big party planned, and so the next morning they started butchering pigs. And they ended up like holding up big pieces of pigs and shouting out what they were called, so it became like an impromptu language learning session.
And we were taking turns kind of going in the house, whether our kids needed naps or whatever, and then coming back out and participating again. And I remember one time I came out and Gideon's hands were just covered in blood. It's like, oh my goodness. But she'd been mixing pig's blood in with our food that we were going to be eating later.
That's something the Kovol people had her do. She didn't just think of it on her own.
Yeah.
And the Kovol people, they were very generous. They kept bringing us garden food. However, our countertops just started filling up with these heaps of various vegetables, way more than we could possibly eat.
It got a little bit stressful, actually, trying to figure out what to do with the huge quantities of food that they were giving to us. They were being so generous, and we just didn't know what to do with it all. So between that and the stresses of homeschool that were continuing, and having babies that weren't sleeping great, and just things like that, it was a lot of little stresses that I think kind of added up to a pretty typical first-time bush experience.
Yeah. After a few weeks, we were able to do an amamas to thank all the people for the work that they had put in for the house build. So that was a time where people came from all over the people group, and it just got very crowded. We flew in a bunch of lamb meat and gifts like soccer balls and files and things like that. And of course, the Kovol people were bringing their things as well. And so we ended up with a big pile of garden food that was almost as tall as a person, and a lot of pigs. And yeah, there's a big party, and they just kept going through the night. We went to bed, but...
Our goal is that there's a mature church one day that can stand on their own feet. To get there, we promise the Kovol people 4 things. First, we want to learn their culture and language. Second, we want to teach them to read and to write in their own language. Third, we want to translate the New Testament and chronological Old Testament portions of the Bible into their own language. And fourth, we want to teach them God's Word in their own language. Right now, we're in the middle of language learning, culture learning, and relationship building. This is really important so that one day they will hear God's Word in their own language and understand clearly the best message of the world. Yeah, and that's where we're in. It can, news. Enough.
Hey, so we're in the middle of CLA, which stands for Culture and Language Learning. So we are learning to speak like these guys. My friends here, here's Ulamo, here's Kavaluku. These guys are great helps. We have a great time learning language. Lots of pointing at pictures and figuring out the names for things. Lots of making idiots out of ourselves. Lots of falling over in the jungle. Quite a bit of hiking. And yeah, it's a real challenge, but it's also really fun. Nah, you play thing one, you play walking good walk line in top place or no god?
Yeah, we play like him.
We play
We play walking good.
We play mamas.
We play mamas.
Apparently we're doing well. We got another language check in January, so we'll see how that's doing. Yeah, and one of the big challenges, Ulamo here, he speaks Imengis. Yuman Imengisa.
Yeah.
Yuman Matat.
Yeah, Kovol matat.
Yeah, two different dialects. He speaks Ovol, he speaks Kovol. And we try our best to make the best of it, but it can be really confusing. And sometimes when speaking to this guy, I feel like I've gone down 2 steps because we're focusing on Imengis. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thanks for praying for us.
So here it has been amazing to be working among the Kovol people, but also exhausting in many ways. We have to keep our eyes on Christ. We cannot allow the expectations and desires of other people, no matter how good they may be, to guide the work here. We have to keep turning to the Lord and trusting Him through it all, and allow the ultimate goal of clearly communicating the gospel to these people in their language to be the driving point of this whole work. So that means that sometimes we'll have visitors and we can greet them, but we won't be able to spend much time with them. Sometimes we'll have invitations that we have to turn down, though we would love to develop the relationship, it just doesn't work at the time. Sometimes there'll be medical cases and we have to tell them, sorry, we can't really help you there. You're gonna have to go to town or go to some other aid post or house sick. In all of this, we also realize that our wives will need to understand the language to invest in the women here. We as men won't be able to do that so well. And in order to do that, they also need to learn the language. And there are kids involved with no daycare or school or other forms of help. In all of this, we are working at balancing our time for the primary goal of sharing Christ with the people here.
We are so blessed to have the Kovol people here who are so eager to teach us their own language. They are sometimes hanging out the whole day around our houses to just be available so we can learn their language. They also share their food with us, and yeah, it's just really fun to be with them. And they're becoming friends to us that we will miss when we leave this place, even when we go to the station. Yeah, there are lots of other blessings, like our co-workers, the support team, people who are praying for us, internet. We have internet right now. Most of the time we had it. Also, COVID is slowly spreading, so it hasn't. Yeah, we don't have to wear masks. Let's say it that way. Also, we have a garden with some tomatoes. We have awesome sunsets and lots of other fun things. And yeah, the biggest blessing is, of course, that we have God in us, and that He loves us, He helps us, and He is doing the work. He's just using us as His tool. So we can just relax, right? Because He is in control.
You let go of your leaf now.
So living and working here in Kovol is definitely a blessing. But there's some challenges too, of course. We do live at our workplace, so it can be difficult to find some rest sometimes. And people show up often unannounced, so we have to be very flexible. Another huge challenge is how we deal with medical problems that come our way. We feel like we can't ignore them, but at the same time it's not one of the 4 things we promised that we came here to do, so we're working through that still. Then also, since moving to PNG, I have felt like so rich, and that's quite difficult for me and for us all. We really would like to give more, but it's just that's not as easy as it seems. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you for praying for us. You can pray for our CLA and that we would have profitable language learning time. Also, that we find good balance between CLA, between family needs and team needs, and finding rest. And I forgot the last thing. Community help.
And mi pla mamas long or misinali kam. Il pla lukam now stop ante mi pla. Na one play mi go. Na two pla stop ante mi pla. Now kisim topless yet. Now lino finish. Now lukam mi play stop ante more. Na mi pla mamas na olikam stop ante mi pla. All pinsim talk now. Bian em by mi pla school. Em tasol em talk sabe misinali olikam stop ante mi.